welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If you guys are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that all of my groups and links are posted in the description below in case you want to check them out. Today's tutorial is actually a live I did for the group-a-thon in Creative Tumblers for Everyone. If you guys caught any of the tutorials that were done in that group last month, you may have already seen this tutorial, but I went ahead and finished the cup, put the pinstripes on, epoxied it. So if you want to see how I completed this tumbler, the rest of the steps will be included in this tutorial. Because this was a live that I turned into a tutorial, some things may be out of frame and I don't go into as much detail on items that I used since I was originally showing everything to the group that was watching me versus my phone that was recording as I did the live. So I apologize in advance if some things are out of frame, but if you want to catch the original live where the camera was facing me and everything perfectly, it is still up in the Creative Tumblers for Everyone group. I definitely suggest you guys go join. Lots of people go live in there, and I'm sure you could learn loads of new skills. Everything that you see listed right here will be covered in this tutorial though. If you guys have questions about materials or steps that I did, feel free to ask in the comments or my groups and I will answer them. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started on this tutorial and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so to start out, you're going to choose your cup. I recommend using a slim or skinny. I am using a 30-ounce skinny from Hog or the Stainless Steel Depot. These are my two vinyl patterns that I'm going to use, and then I have some glitter set out to the side that I'm also going to use. So right now I'm just kind of explaining what I'm going to do to my audience that was watching me live. These two patterns can be found on the Drunk Flamingo. This is my original tooled leather and wildflowers. This tooled leather is one of my most popular patterns. I also have it available in teal. And I chose these colors because I felt like they really went with the color in the wildflower vinyl. I was going to use white linen, but I actually opted not to use a white. I just used the three colors, which are Singing in the Rain is the kind of slate blue. And then Love Potion is a pink and opal mix. And Mint Julep is a really pretty green and opal mix. And I selected fine colors. I didn't want any chunky since these were kind of just going to be outlining stripes. I didn't want chunky pieces sticking up. And it just makes it a little easier when I'm pulling the striping tape. So I am just making my template right now, and I totally messed up when making this template because of course it was live. Typically I would not make a square. I would just cut a rectangle down to size and create a triangle. That's basically all I do, is make a triangle for the cup. And I just make the triangle kind of touch the bottom, and then when I have my triangle, obviously this one is not a full triangle because I messed up on my template. Every time when I do live videos, I always mess something up because I'm thinking too much about comments or questions versus what I'm actually doing. So once you have your triangle cut out, we're just going to trace this on the back of our vinyl with a pencil, and then we're just going to cut this triangle out. It really doesn't matter what size you make your triangle. I did not measure anything. I just sized the triangle based off of the cup and just went with a size that I wanted. If you want to get technical and do all the math stuff and make each side perfectly even, you can do that if you want to. I just do not like math, so I just make my own templates this way by eyeballing what I like. So now we have our little triangle cut out, and I just hold it up to my cup just to make sure that everything still matches up how I want it to before I actually put it on my cup. So now what we're going to do is get our cup cradle by Brooke, which is Cami Page Boutique. And this little cup cradle is the best because it's so compact. I can put it anywhere. It doesn't take up a lot of room. So I am just going to cut a little bit of the backing off of my vinyl triangle. We're going to line up the vinyl and push that corner down where the backing was removed. So it kind of acts like a hinge, and you can make sure everything is still lined up perfectly before you start to remove the rest of the backing. I like to just get my little squeegee and kind of push that backing out from underneath the vinyl. I am smoothing everything down, making sure there's no air bubbles or wrinkles. And there we go. Everything is lined up perfectly and attached to the cup. So the next thing that we're going to do is get another tool from Brooke, Cami Page Boutique, which is the edging tool. This helps ensure that the rim at the top is perfectly even. I use this on my epoxy tumblers as well, and get that rim of epoxy off. I just soften it with water, hot water, but it's mainly used for vinyl. So we're just adjusting our blade, running our cup along that blade, and then peeling that excess off. So now we have a nice smooth rim at the top. So this will ensure that when we epoxy, everything is going to be sealed in. We're not going to be worried about vinyl hanging over the edge. So I was just showing off all of Brooke's tools. We do have a code, which is Damn Fancy, if you guys want to save some money on her site. So originally I was just going to add vinyl stripes, or sorry, not vinyl, glitter stripes in between the tooled leather and the wildflower vinyl, but I decided to add another stripe of cow print. And this vinyl can also be found on my site. And I just cut 2 strips about 1.5 inches wide. And then I'm just going to lay this vinyl right next to the wildflower vinyl. And then just like before, we are going to use our edging tool to trim the top edge. I just cut the bottom piece for now. Since I was going to have 2 at the bottom, I just waited, and we will go edge that bottom rim once we have the rest of the vinyl on. So now the top rim is still just as even as the first vinyl that we cut, because that blade was in the same position. Now we're going to adjust this blade. Sometimes for the bottom rim, I do have to move my blade up 1 space, just because of how the bottom of the cup is shaped. So we're just tightening everything back up. And now we're going to go around the bottom rim with the blade, peel off that excess vinyl, Now the bottom is just as even as the top. So now what we're going to do is make our vinyl triangle out of the tooled leather vinyl. And I just held this same template up there and it was the perfect size. I don't know if that was just luck or what that was about, but I did not have to make another template. It just fit perfectly up there. It was maybe just a little bit shorter. So I am just tracing the same template that we had earlier that we just made out of paper. It's just a triangle. And this is why I like making my own templates. So if you want to adjust something, if you want your triangle smaller or skinnier or shorter, you can easily do this yourself and not have to worry about adjusting a template. And for me personally, I can never get templates to work for me. Even if they're super simple, I will cut them out to the exact specifications, and for some reason, just me, I cannot get them lined up perfectly, no matter what I do. So instead of me getting frustrated at myself because I can't figure it out, I just assume to make my own. And it just works out better for me this way. Some people can crank out templates left and right. I am not one of those people. So we are just going to do the same thing that we did before. We're just going to line those up. Make sure that the vinyl lines up with the other side and doesn't get crooked, which I'm pretty sure did. I did not have it lined up as well as I should have. This is why I like using this hinge method, because if you realize that something is slightly crooked, you can just lift it back up and you're not dealing with a whole sticky sheet of vinyl with the backing removed that could get wrinkled or stuck together. And I always tell people that if you want to save the templates that you make, just save the backing of the vinyl, because it's going to be more durable than just a flimsy sheet of paper. So you can just save those. You can write on them with a Sharpie what you use it for, like a double V split for a 30-ounce skinny, just so you know what they are. I typically don't save mine just because I just remake them every time. A lot of times I change stuff as I go. So I rarely ever use the same templates twice. So now that we have everything rimmed and the vinyl stuck down, we are going to start with our glittering. So this is striping tape that I use. I got it from Amazon. I will link it in the description. And I use this stuff so much now. Brooke actually introduced me to striping tape. It's a lot better than using electrical tape or painter's tape. There are loads of different widths that you can choose from. I believe the pack I purchased has 4 different widths in it. And I just kind of make my design like what I want my glitter to look like. So for me, I decided that I wanted 3 glitter stripes, and I wanted the cow print to also be a stripe. So we're going to apply some glitter on the cow print stripe that you see. So it's kind of surrounding that as well. So instead of a 1.5 inch stripe, it's going to look like 2 smaller stripes. And I am using 2 stripes of this striping tape kind of as my placeholder. And then I'm just going to lay it down on the other side. If y'all have watched my spray painted plaid tutorials, this is kind of how it starts off. We're just using tape to hold our place while we lay the stripe next to it. And then we're peeling up the placeholders and laying it down again. Peeling up the placeholders, laying it down on the other side. And this is kind of where you guys can bring your creativity out. Like, what do you want your design to look like? Do you want multiple stripes of glitter? Do you not want as many stripes of glitter? You don't even have to do stripes like this. You could do a different design if you wanted to. So I did have to trim this little piece of the striping tape just because it overlapped the vinyl. So now all of these spaces that are in between the striping tape are going to be our glitter stripes. And we're just going to go right in over this vinyl with glitter glue and then our glitter. There's no need to remove the vinyl. That's just an extra step that you really don't need to do. So I was testing my colors here to see how translucent they were because these do have some opal mixed in with them. But after I kind of put some on that vinyl, you really could not see the vinyl through the green. So I decided that I was not going to base coat these stripes. Sometimes if the glitter is translucent, I will go in with ColorFix paint, which also has a glitter glue built in with it, just to give it a base coat in case you could see the vinyl through the glitter. But for this particular glitter, I did not need to do that. But I do suggest always checking to make sure that your glitter is not too translucent so that you won't see weird colors showing through your glitter. So I'm using Artistry's glitter glue. If you guys have not tried their glitter glue, I do suggest it. This is pretty much the only way I apply my glitter now. I used to use epoxy or clear spray paint, but I typically only use glitter glue now. So we're just going in and sprinkling this glitter on there. You guys can see that I only needed one coat. You get great coverage. We do have a code for Artistry, which is damn fancy. It will save you on all items except for made items such as turners. And glitter glue kind of acts like epoxy and it will soak up that glitter. So I just go back and sprinkle a second time, but there's no need to recoat it with the glitter glue. So as soon as I apply that glitter, we're going to go ahead and peel off that first strip of striping tape, and y'all can see what a crisp line that gives. It's so satisfying to watch. And then I just dusted off the glitter that was on the second section that we're going to glitter. I just dusted that off with a fluffy brush just to get any loose glitter particles off of there. And now I was trying to decide which color I wanted to do next. I couldn't decide if it was going to be the pink or the green, so I let the live audience decide what was going to be next. And then we're going to grab that green and just sprinkle it on there. I am being careful not to get it on the blue stripe, just in case any of that top layer was still a little tacky. I was really trying not to contaminate that blue stripe. And now we're going to peel up that second stripe. And it just looks so good. So next we're going to go in and glue our last little area and sprinkle on the pink glitter. And then we're going to peel off the rest of this striping tape. And once we have that striping tape off, that is going to be it for this part of the tutorial. This is as far as I got in the live because I needed to let this glitter glue dry. And once that glitter glue dries, we are just going to brush off everything really well. And then I'm going to go in with Artistry's Quick Seal. So this is after everything has dried. We're going to use Quick Seal to seal the glitter. Typically, I would use a clear spray paint, usually Rust-Oleum 2 times. But since there is vinyl on this tumbler, I typically do not use a spray sealer when I am sealing anything with vinyl because it could react with the vinyl and cause it to curl up or just react funny. I've just had bad experiences when sealing vinyl with a clear spray paint. So I just go in with my liquid sealer and we're just sealing the glitter lines. Sorry, y'all, there's a big plane going overhead. That Birdie is staring at and wondering what it is. So I typically do not seal the actual vinyl on this. I just seal the glitter. I don't ever seal my vinyl with anything unless it is textured vinyl, which you will see me do later. So once this sealer has dried, I usually wait about an hour or 2 hours just to make sure it is good and dry. We are going to put it on our turner. This turner is from the Tumbler Grip. We do have a discount code for them, which is Damn Fancy, and it will save you money off of your first order. I love these grips. If you guys do not have any grips, I highly suggest getting them. I have not used a pool noodle or a football since I got these in. So once our cups are on our turner, we're just going to apply some epoxy. My favorite epoxy is Artistry's 1-to-1 Fast Set. It has great coverage, very minimal bubbles, a great shine. You can use it as a final coat. And for me personally, there is no smell. Even if I use my respirator and take it off, some epoxy smells still like stay on your clothes, and Artistry's does not do that. Then we are going to torch it. My torch is from CCDIY. And I'm going to put 2 coats of epoxy on this tumbler, then sand it really well. And then we are going to apply our pinstripes. For those of you that don't know, I do have a pinstripe file on thedrunkflamingo.com. several of y'all asked me to create one. So my pinstripe file has my most popular sizes that I use, which are 0.07, 0.05, and 0.03. And when I cut out pinstripes, I typically cut out a full sheet of all sizes. So I have a sheet that has the 0.07, the 0.05, and the 0.03. That way I will have lots of different colors with lots of different sizes in case I want to layer them. And I decided just to go with the gold for this cup. I felt like the gold really kind of brought out the yellow tones in the leather vinyl, as well as the kind of yellowy gold tones in the wildflower vinyl. And I am just running this vinyl right alongside of the glitter and vinyl where it meets. And this one I was trying to match up as well as I could. The glitter was just not quite as pointy as I would have liked it to be. So I kind of had to cut it in a point. And clearly y'all can tell my blade was super dull. I needed to get a new blade. So I decided to start with the other side first and then lay that second strip to help kind of form that point a little better, and that worked out better. So we are just going to finish laying these pinstripes, and then I go back and apply some thinner pinstripes just to detail some other parts of the cup. And after I get all the pinstripes on, I'm going to seal everything with UV resin and with quick seal. So UV resin, which you will see me do, I apply only to the ends of the pinstripe. This will help ensure that they stay down after I epoxy. I'm sure we have all had that dreaded experience of your cup looking amazing and then those pesky pinstripes decide to lift under epoxy. So if you apply UV resin just on the ends of the pinstripes, which is typically where pinstripes like to lift, it will keep them down. And then I also seal this particular vinyl with quick seal. Again, I do not seal with clear spray paint when I am sealing vinyl, because especially on metallic or textured vinyl, it will cause the vinyl to lift or curl on the edges, which is definitely what we don't want. And for textured vinyl, the reason why I seal textured vinyl is because I have had the experience of not sealing the textured vinyl and noticed that the epoxy was not sticking to the vinyl. I had a large decal that was cut out with the textured vinyl, and I noticed that there was like a small little air pocket on that vinyl, so I was just going to sand that part and then reapply my epoxy. And when I started sanding that part, I noticed that none of the epoxy was stuck to that textured vinyl decal. So I was able to just peel up all of that epoxy super easy. The epoxy on the rest of the cup was down really, really well, but just on that textured vinyl decal, it could come up so easy. So ever since that day, I always seal any decal or pinstripes that I make with textured vinyl and make sure it's sealed well. If this was regular adhesive vinyl, like a black or white, or even just a color, I would not seal it. But for metals and textured vinyl, I always seal. So now you guys are just going to see me seal those edges with the UV resin. And I like to apply it with a silicone brush. I will link a silicone brush pack in the comments as well. I like to use a silicone brush because once you're done curing everything, you can just cure the UV resin that's on the silicone brush and it will pop right off. And I'm really sealing each section for about 2 minutes. And my UV resin of choice is CC DIY's. It is the best I've used. I know some people like a particular brand on Amazon, but I can't remember what it's called. I have tried several from Amazon and different companies, and this one is my favorite. So now that our ends are sealed with UV resin, I am just going to go in with quick seal and we're going to seal this vinyl. I know a lot of people use polyacrylic to seal their items. I personally don't use polyacrylic just based off of my personal experience. Years ago, I used to make little polymer clay elements or resin elements that I would use to decorate mirrors or phone cases, and I had an issue with the polyacrylic yellowing badly over time. It wasn't just a little yellow, it was bad yellow. So I would rather just use something that I know is less likely to yellow, but again, that's just my personal experience. So after that quick seal dries, we are going to put this back on the turner for 2 more coats of epoxy, and then your tumbler will be complete. Here are some finished pictures of the tumbler. I really love how it turned out. This is one of my favorite tumblers just because it's kind of Western, but also retro, kind of like a country or like a retro Western country. I don't know. Just the colors, I really like them. They're muted, which is definitely the palette that I like versus bright colors. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you decide to make something that was inspired by this tutorial, please post it in the Drunk Flamingo or Damn Fancy because I love to see what you guys come up with. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group, Drunk Flamingo Glitter Group, or my Damn Fancy Tribe. All are linked in the description. Thanks for watching!